Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Access to her stellar record. Alright, good. Go ahead. No problem. Very good. Thank you, Adam, for reminding us to record the session. It's really helpful, especially I know from now on it's going to be more, even healthier and helpful. But I have to listen to what we talked about. And actually, second time I'm listening. I understand more than what I understood the first time. I appreciate your passion on the subject. Totally. Totally. Also, I'm thankful to have you. Thank you. Thank you for having us in the structure as well. Far in the data we discussed just basic syntax, right? But this is very important. Hope you've been able to do this challenge. 565 this challenge. Very simple. The payload. Actually, this output is the output they want us to create. Here, we need to know this thing. We need to look at this one. This one is 1. Oh, you see this output 1 to 3. I got it. It's not really different levels. We need to grab ID at different levels. The first level, the second level, and third level. The first one is that, you have that. And do. If you do ID, you only get the first 2. Let's do one ID. I think you do like, and 1 second. You do like that. It's not. I got the same. It means it returns the ID at different levels. And second one, multi-level, multi-value. Motive, it returns 1 and level, only the first level. I have a question. The outcome that I don't know. They want us to create this output. Right. They showed the descendant and multi-value. All that is a level. This level. We could do. You could do multi-value. Then we say 1 second. Then we say how to get the phone first level. Then you say ID, I think, and I know that star ID. It's not separate. It returns. That's already written. See these on the 1 level. Basically the first level. Therefore, it's not started on. If it's 1 level with 1, that will do the work. If it's 2 level down, we do And that ID is only going to find any word that has an ID with the first matching one. See, here is the ID. There are multiple things to try to write. Multiple items match. But the matching ID was for that level. In the first one, the first matching one, only the first matching. If we say that ID is going to grab the first level ID, if we say n, payload that, start it, it's going to go first. First type. First level ID. All IDs in the first. Because it has 1, because he has a 1 dot. And the second level. I want to get second level. What's the third one? Multi-value second level. 252. Right. Then that ID. P. ID. Another dot. Dot ID is the same thing, right? Same as first one. I want to move to the second level first. Second level. I want to move to the, this level. This level, how can you payload dot? Second level, right? It's like a, we do second level with them. We do that, dot star. Second level. After dot dot star is it. Remove that part. Payload. Dot dot star. See, you're doing everything right. That is not thing. First, I need to move to the payload. Second level. Oh, you say. You payload that second level. Then that dot ID. Nut ID returns. First, then you say star. I'm sorry, then dot star ID. To get everything. All the ID in the second level. Now it's matching. Oh, now it's becoming clear now. Alright. That's good. This one I'm going to say, don't help me. And third level. We just want to introduce a third level, right? Payload, then you do third level actually. And then, why do you go second level then third level? At second level. Third level. I go to third level. Third level is in second level. Second level. Third level. Then you say that star ID. Or the items. You can see. Dot star ID. Or the IDs. And finally, or IDs. What tablet exists? All IDs. This time we're going to do payload dot. Dot star. That's correct. Excellent. I have a question. The first one. The first IDs are on the top. The second ID, second level, is the same level. The same level as the top IDs. But the third level is inside the second level. That's what we're going to second level. That's the level. I read this. I can see this could be helpful down the road. Knowing how to What do you guys call that notation? Because it's already got called. There's another system I use called ServiceNow. It's a ticketing system. And ServiceNow has something like this where it's called that notation. Here are some questions. Does the descendant select all the keys or just the first one in the nested object? That is the descent selector. It's a dot dot. Dot dot is a descendant selector. That's not to select all. The keys are just the first one, the next object. Right? But this answer is it's not selecting all the keys. It's only the first one of the rest of it. In this first level, ID1. Second level, ID2. Therefore, we know dot dot ID returns 1, 2, 3. Right. Who did that? I have a question. Descendant. What is the descendant? Descendant means. See, second level is descendant to the first level, primary level. Third level is descendant to the second level. Alright? It's like a family tree. That descendant selector is this one. Dot dot is a descendant selector. Dot dot is it? Descendant selector will be able to select the items which are in the different levels. Second level, third level. It's fetching the items at different levels, but it is fetching only the first matching one. Does the descendant select all the keys or just the first one in the nested object? Even ID is there. In second level, ID2 is there. ID2 is there, but it's only the first one. Right. That's the question. The answer is it is selecting only the first one. As the multi-value selector, select the keys on the next level of object. Multi-value is a dot star actually. It's multi-value. Multi-value is selecting keys only the first level only. Dot star means it has only first level, second level. Dot star means only second level. It's not going to descendant. The multi-value selector selects only key on the same level, not on the next levels. What happens if you combine both descendant and multi-value selector? The one you do, it is the last thing. It's combination of descendant, it's dot, dot and multi-value. If you do that, you can select all the keys, all the matches, whatever it is. That is the question. It is all the keys. Hope you got it. I got it. I'll practice more, but I think I got it. Here, this multi-value is important. Range is also important. How to set the range? Going forward in the transformation, we use this set of tests. Right. At that moment, you don't have idea about all this. The variable access is simple only. We finish up with the number of times. We can declare variables like this. Where is the keyword to declare a variable? Aspect is the name of the variable and max the value is the value of the variable. Right. And this variable is different from the variable we declare in the pro level. And this any point will keep it open. If that is any point, we also put it. I just start a machine. The level. We created a variable in flow, right? That is a flow level variable. That's right. This scope of this variable is only this. We can't access this variable inside the flow. Alright. To access that when just in C is just to define the variable mascot. But it is the value of that variable. Very, very simple. Back to now the same exercise, the challenge we attempted right in the previous thing. What is asking is the same exercise. Now use the variable. You know these two values. You need to touch the rest of the system. These things, these two values using variable. We need to solve this. Second level and third level. You get a variable and you can take the payload and use that variable. What do they want us to do? Store that value into variable. Creating a variable called second. The second story. We know the second. It is the second level. The payload. This is the payload, right? This is payload. I'm highlighting this one. The second level means from here to here. This is the second level. Start with the second level. This is where I'm storing second level. Now instead of payload and second level, just I'm doing second. Second level. And what I want to achieve is a multi-valued second level. Just to put it in the file. Not I'm pitching all the values in second level. The dot start. Right. The payload, the second level. And when you print in here, you say second, because that's the variable that we define. The right. This one then will only display. It will only display the ID on the second level. Now payload at second level equal to second. Using dot star ID it is 2 and 22, right? What is the output right now? Is this the output? 2. Or what do you call that? Multi-second level. Multi-second level. It brings it to. That's what I thought. It's going to print only the 22 and 22 because you only got one dot. only one dot. Now the multi-third level is that multi-valued third level. And that, no, you tell me I can work on it. What do you want to do? Like when you display third level, you need to get this thing. Then you do second that. Can we do second that? Then we say third level. Then that's star ID. Excellent. Fantastic. Now it is all the items in the third level. Dot star ID means right. 3 and 3. Or also is it 3? Okay. Got it. Now they want all the levels. It is. The point is we are using variables. It's a declaration of variable and you're calling that variable using some name on directly. We can name it. The funny thing is that interesting is that you use the variable, but also you. Like expanding what you and what do you store the variable. It's like almost like a payload. But this is called the scope, right? It has a scope. Last one, let's go last one. They want us to do all the ideas. Then the R variable only covers the second and low and below. That means it doesn't have the first. They just have a descendant, and that if you want to add, what you can do is what you can do when you create another new variable, right? Just payload. Something that I do anything. What I'm doing is payload, and that is also fine. Is that's the idea. The number of variables. Variables can create like this and store. Something like a name. You can see a one thing is it is a variable, it is testing variables. Oh, you can store no variables. I've seen people do it and it means object. You can create a normal variable. I write here and I write an also object. All this variable is it. Kind of object not in the. Something like something. But person not name. Person that name. I have a question. You said, and I agree, and I understand that we have to create all the variables in the header and before the separator. And at times when you're doing and manipulations, right when you process in or transforming and payload. And like somewhere in the middle, you want to store that variable, that information to a variable. Are you saying then before, like something like you can have a for each or while or whatever to process some information is? And when you get the value, you want to store that into variable. And that's the variable could be inside of the body. And are you saying in date we find out in the using that non-notation or whatever that is possible and get that information upfront in the header? Don't use any variables inside the body. Or we don't use. In that case, we define some functions on here. We have the function definition. In the function definition, we can access to the variables. Some create some, looping or whatever. But it will. Definition we can do inside the body, but we can do a segment to the variables in the body. For example, like here, let's say that in all the descent ideas, if you want to restore that, store that into variable. All the different ideas you want to be. The first one for the descendant payload IT, right? You just want to keep track that ID. And you put that in a variable, but I guess you can also do that in on the top. That's right. That's fine. I was thinking in all the program, in all the script and program we have done. And it's good if you know what. And if you know what are you going to keep on? That variable is, when you store that variable, then you declare it on the top. I understand that. I do that all the time. But sometimes the value you want to store is very deep inside the script. Somewhere. We don't know. For example, you run a query. You get some output from that query and then you check some conditions. And if that condition exists, you want to store that into variable. That's very deep inside the body of the script and that information. You don't know it. When you start in the script, the idea that the data wave says that we have to declare all the variables on the top. And I don't know. I was thinking that. And if you're using like this, like that notation, that kind of stuff in the payload, I think might be doable. But if you do it more complex scripting, there are times when there are times that you don't know the value of that variable until you get to that level. You have idea of the functional programming atom. This is like a subroutine, right? Or something like that. Function programming. In function programming the variables, we can assign new methods for variables. Usually in non-function programming, in the variables we store the things like strings, integers, booleans, objects. In the function programming, we can store methods also inside variables. The methods also. Java from 8.1. What's the function programming language? Before 8, we can't store the methods inside the variable. Here also, let me tell one simple example. Let's look at the page. Here in the script, I can do something like this. Go. I think when we get to that level, we'll discuss. I think that's sorry to ask you because I was thinking about that. It has to be a way to use a variable inside the script. But I think when we get to that level, you show me or we'll discuss. We'll discuss that one. Excellent. Thank you. That's good. That's right. The name of the name field of the input is Max. Very simple. Sounds good. This is the interesting one. If else is like any other program which condition or else condition. You see, here action is variable actually, right? What is variable storing? Variable storing this expression. If a payload price is less than 100 by else hold. That's interesting. And the action is key right in the payload. The value for this action and give this method. I'm getting value as a hold. Why I'm getting value of hold? Actually, the payload price is 150, right? I have a question. This is interesting. What is that? Can you go? Maybe scroll down on the middle section. I want to see where that. And this, I don't know. I'm not sure how to ask this anyway. And this, you have a JSON. This is a JSON. Price a payload price. It's when you ask them for the simple. That's important. What I want to know is that how does he know that when he gets to action, the action it becomes? The action has to go. Let me copy this. What I want. I don't know how this is. How does it get called? To evaluate that. This is this and pass the input to the script, right? And the entire thing is payload. This payload, right? This is how many to me. Even input to the script. What's the price? Price is equal to payload price. This is the payload price, returns 120. Price is equal to price. The payload price. The same payload. It's good. It's the second. Second field. Second field. It is calling that. It is, called the variable. Right. This is where we're going to get executed now. What is the variable value if payload price is less than 100? But payload price is auto. It is not. Go to the L section and it is the. Alright. Chronologically orderly you get input on 20. And then are you? Is the statement happening before it gets to the body or first things come to the body first? The first variable is executed. That one. We create a variable action on the fly. And we say that, hey, if the payload price is less than 100, and else action variable is only going to store word by or hold. And then it comes down here. And price will be mapped to payload price, whatever the price was an action. It will be mapped to the variable action, which either going to have a buy or sell. Buy hold. That depends upon your input. That thing get calculated way before the body. Got it now? Because I was thinking other way around where this action and the body is calling, like you remember the function thing you were talking about. I thought might be scoring, but this is just a variable. Interesting. The other thing is that how they normally a normal script I know is that, we say if the payload price equal less than 100, then we create the variable, say that the action equal to buy, or else action equal to hold. But this one is a little bit slick here, where if the condition is that, then you say buy Alice Hall. Very interesting. Excellent. Thanks for explaining. Now I understand. Not that support the first condition. Here, even the focus is to put how to do an expression for this expression. Here else is mandatory. In a sense, sometimes in other programming languages, else is not mandatory. Only if and the condition it matches it gives it else. Sometimes we different options in some programming. But it is mandatory. So. You remove it. That's one point you need to keep note. You're saying that Alice is required. Even your condition, only you know if less than 100 by not 100. You don't want to see it before you want to see it. Some empty spaces, but even you need to define that. Yes, it's mandatory in this condition. It is not. For the next section, we want to watch that. That's kind of different. This is correct. It is very interesting. Something like this. Sell up. You got to sell it. One is exceeds 40. We say, can we modify that? We say that if the, and we'll say that if the price exceeds, if the price is, you can save the price greater than 140. Yes, you see here, let me focus on this one also. If credit expression 1, it is true. This will get excluded. If you didn't know, you can put one more condition. Then we say Alice, if right. I remove this one. I put it in the end. If that. See what else if payload price. Price is greater. Then we say sell right. Then we say that it especially looks like right. Well, if also you can use the market. Coming to this pattern matches in. The same thing in whatever we achieved in C using LCP can achieve using that. C input expression that matches this condition. Because this one, there are much second condition. It is the second. The same thing you're talking about here. Not action something, action. I will send an input. What action is I'm sending by either right. We don't have an action match. What is this case by each of these example, this matching? It returns by the market price. I got out of it because it's a match. But it's still set market price. All that because it's very simple. Much I understand. and pattern match like regular expression thing, right? But similar. You input expression. You say payload that action. You do cases. Case by case, sale case hold. If it's case by your print, by a market price. If it's contained sell, it will say sell the market price. And Alice invalid input. This one, it has a bike. Alright? If it contains a word, write the word bike. And by the board written by a market. Got? In fact, this is in the playground also. I will do that. I will do that. It's the pattern matching returns. See its light off. This input, sending ID status. Now status is 0 because we're sending set. You can actually return light off when status for the input is 0 or light on when status is 1%. This is one light on. I will do the basic one. You can match. Start a match. Let me say case is 0, 0. And if it's 0, 1, 1. What do you do? Then you say that if it's 0, it says light off is it? 0. Set up right up when it is 0. Light off. And light on when it is 1. You can practice different example and practice this example. Let me know if you have an issue in practicing this example. I saw a simple one and I think some complex. The same thing. You can use the equation pattern matching this example. The sound and again using pattern matching also in the front of the problem. Practice this one. Definitely. Next is very important functions. Functions are data view. The most important tools they allow us to can only be the use functionality and create function and apply. When the use is not necessary. This section will cover it for the profits of the functions. Data view, the layman functions lambdas. Anytime you have lambdas, Adam. Lambda, is this the one that the cloud stuff? La. I know lambda, but I heard about lambda, but not lambdas. That lambda means unknown, unemote functions. I was studying a bit about AWS, and there's something called a lambda. I'm thinking it's different. Lambda expressions in Lambda. Lambdas are passing functions to other functions. One function has an argument to the other function. We see this problem while discussing. We can understand. I can't explain this one. For example, you can discuss this. And dollar, dollar, dollar. This is also very, very important. We're going a little deeper and complex things. Name of functions. Name of functions is a function with a name. Right? Function is a keyword to declare function. One is a keyword like variables. We use a var, right? When you find a keyword to declare functions. Function. Add in function name, therefore its name of function. And here there's two parameters I'm passing to this function. One is m, right? And what the result is? It is n plus m. In the body, I'm calling that function. I'm passing 1 and 2 as parameters. 1 go to n and 2 go to m. And it is 1 plus 2. It is out of testing. Very basic function. It's a name of function. If it's a function name, it takes one argument. And when the function spans multiple lines, we use the keyword called to. Here, this is no. The function value is only one line, right? But not there are multiple numbers. It's not there in the function body. Function doesn't have body itself. Want to do multiple things, then you define as a, but it doesn't. You say a function doesn't have a body. See function. Only one line of expression is value of the function, right? I don't know. We'll see more. But I was thinking that the function is like a subroutine. You could have a lot of other things going on, like a calculation is, or maybe going after another, I don't know. In normal functions, I do my own one of the functions, especially in PowerShell. I pass some information and then it makes another call and grabs that information and then makes calculation returns back. I don't know. But this one, it might be it's different. I'll watch. You're saying that it has to be in the header and it has to. It doesn't have a body. It has a body. But see, this body is only single line expression over here. For this case. In this case, single line expression is equal to. I can put similar expression. This is a body, right? It doesn't span in multiple lines. If you have such a requirement, you do with the do, function with the do, and you can. If you put the do keyword, you can open the curly braces, open and end, right? See function diff. Now it spans these multiple lines, right? To define that, we need to use the keyword do and do also. It's like this notation. It is some like end of function. See? In the do, I can declare two more variables. These two variables are local to this function. If you observe this one, let me open to discuss more elaborately. Let me copy this thing in the playground. Copy this entire thing to playground that we can discuss more comfortably, right? What is the input? Here, I am not taking anything from the payload. Therefore, there is no input. What if it's taking only one variable, that is n? I'm passing this entire array, right? To the as a value of n, right? N is replaced by the entire array. Now, inside this function body, I'm creating two variables, variable start. Variable start takes the first element of the array n of 0, that is 1990, right? Variable end, it takes -1. I think yesterday we discussed, right? The array indexes start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and go back to you. No, first -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -1, taking the last one, right? 1990 start and end is 2021. Then n minus start 2021 minus 1990 returns value as 31. The entire thing I define in a function depth. Only thing we need to focus is here. The depth function takes the entire thing, a body, and that body contains the two variables. These variables are not visible to outset. If I put something like, start, I thought error, because this start is not at the variable defined at this level, right? This level is at a level, but this variable is local to this function, right? This is a point you need to keep in mind. When I want to define the variables, those are the stuff. I can use this to function. I want to go through this stuff again. I have one quick question. Can you go back to the playground? And maybe put the diff or whatever the thing was. Something like this. Just remember this. Alright, this one equal to 10, right? And it's fine. 100 minus 9. And this one right now is a playground. It shows you 10, right? But where is that? Where that becomes a payload, or you can assign to a variable. Which one? The 10, the answer. This is a payload of executing this database. I know. But normally you will store that in a variable, don't you? Or you return that to a function. You want to store a variable. In that case, you can return it back to the function, right? And where they're called a function. You want? I can do one thing. I can say. Like a result. This way I can store the difference. If it's something, maybe spinning is not right. I can capture that in a field, right? I think it's good. That's all I want to know. In this case, it's subtracted, and then the difference becomes the answer. It doesn't use like a return or something like that in the function. In some other language, when you're returning the value back to the caller, then you say you use the word return. But I was thinking That's good, that's good. Now I understand the functions and also understand that if I want to do some calculations, I have to use a do function. Do. Here are your doubts that we put the keys in any point studio, that we won't use this playground in our application development. Just to practice our data view, this is the right platform. We can, on the fly, we can do the scripting. On the fly, we can see the result of our code. That's right, that's right, that's right. For that purpose, we use the playground. What is the return? Where we are storing the result value, how we are using this kind of code in our application, but that we need to do the same thing in any point. Studio. I do one simple data view script in any point studio that your doubts will clear. Open that one any point studio. We do a simple example in any point studio. This is also important that I just opened my point studio, open it. While this one's open in Ganesh, and right now we're doing transformation, we're learning data wave. You know, we're going through the on this area, and I really like it because this is something we need to do when it's transforming and message or data. What are those big topics we have left? I'm just curious when we can start. Like you said last time, we're going to start a small project that touches everything. After this transformation, I will discuss about the computing, database and messaging servers, and the file systems, how to talk to the databases, how to talk to JMS server, how to talk to the files, how to extract files. What's the database of file systems? The database JMS. JMS file system Salesforce. To talk to external systems. External systems. Accessing information and sending it to external systems like database messaging server. After that, we can do projects. We'll take a use case and we can do that. Now we do have an idea of how to talk to external system and how to do the transformation in the Mule. Nice, 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 nice. Cannot wait that we do a small project that touches all the area and then expand them. Simple rotor is there. Rotor means like you have an idea of choice, right? Choice in your programming languages. Say that again. Programming languages. Right. Just right. Rotor choice rotor. Yes, there is some concept of rotor. To me, it's like a decision. Decision. We do configure some condition over here. It's like a lot of if statement. And we define one condition or other path if it satisfies the file system. Like something like we can develop the router in our application also. We discuss this one and next boom, we can do the application system. At the same time, we need to focus on API development and API that also. Design also API design. Usually it won't take this much time. It's not a spoon. Machine. Sometimes go through this naming functions again. Anyway, we will do this thing, Any point should be also. This is written as lambdas. Lambdas are the functions without names. There is no name for lambda function. See, I can even. This is no. Data provides multiple ways to create functions. Just like we have a name of functions, we have functions with code names called lambdas. Lambda is a value. It gets up just like a string, an object, a boolean. The syntax of lambdas is like this. Just as you know, body without function name. See simple buff. Some arguments right. Something. Argument is not about an argument list without the function name. I might try to use a lambda in that way. See here the screen. What is it saying? What it's saying is 2 plus 3. Let me copy this thing. One more. This is name function, right? Add is equal to 2 and 3. And you say 2 and 3, but they're equal to m plus 3. That's lambdas. It's like a function. It's a function. There is no name to the function. Therefore, we can assign this function to a variable. It's function because it was add 2 and 3. And then add goes to the function. Oh, got it. You say, alright. Add 2 and 3. We are assigning a function to a variable. Like I said earlier, we can store functions inside the variable, right? That's a function programming language. Usually for variables, we can say the string's integers, right? Here we can assign a function to a variable. This is the method, right? This method I must take to a variable. It's an add is a variable. I must take the function. Now add will work as a function. What is the function? The function has no name. This is lambda actually. Got? But it looks like a function. I don't know. Practice this one. The function. The application name is basic transformation. Right. Now what my intention is. Let me go through these examples. These examples you can copy to the playground. I'll show you how to use examples. Simple transformation. See over here. C input X M input, payload and output. Output we don't bother. Output we need to generate using the data script, right? I want to explore this thing in the application. I will send from the input postman. I will send this input. I will expect this output. My application need to transform this input into this output. That is my actual activity. To get the information of postman, I'm going to use the basic default configuration. My intention is to focus on the transformation. Let's run through the hand, which is here the interesting part comes. In our application to exclude the data view script, we have a component called transform message component. This component is used to exclude the data. We define the data script inside this transform message component. If you open the transform message component, this is the transform message component. And you have the input. This is the input section. It's a script section. Output, don't bother at output. I'll tell you about output section. Now in the script section, I will try the data view score. I'm copying the data view score from here. We have to have input though. Now I'm just running this application. I want to tell you more about the transform message components. Very, very important components. Most of the components are in view. There's much to discuss about this component. In our data view in JMS to multiple places, use this component. I'll tell you. Let's discuss that once we discuss. Definitely. You're right. This is the magic thing, right? This is what Mule is good for, right? Transforming one message to another message. But do you run this program without input? I'm not sure. We can configure the input also, that I will show you how to configure it for the component. The thing we are doing in the playground, right? The thing we can do over here also is you can transfer the component, but it is slow. More time to to generate the output. It is very fast and very effective. In practice, I recommend the playground. Let me see why it's playing. I have issues with E281. I deployed some server with the same E281 port. Probably E281 is not working for me. Hurry up. Let's start it. Let me open the poster. I use local remote 85. I use the path as a basic and the host method, the body. And they're similar as in my input. What we put out. I see now, that's your input now. My application takes this XML and transforms and returns this JSON file. This one has sent as a payload to the application. That payload is given to this transform message, right? That transform message transform experience. Code on the payload. And check this one, right? The similar thing. If you want to include on the playground, go to the playground once. I recommend before putting the code in the I recommend to put whatever the code in the practice in the playground. If it's working good, then remove the transformation component and the input section of the XML. Copy that input. What's the script? Copy the script. We got output right. Similar thing as you would actually. The pushman also will send that output right. Now we can analyze how this code that I showed you, the entire thing is payload. Payload order product, payload order buyer. Buyer is the child of order, right? But address. This one, right? That's it. This is self-sustainable, right, Adam? Adam, you there? Amit, you're right. It's self-explanatory. Address. One is the kind of variable, right? It's a label. And you put payload order buyer address. Address one city condition output fields. How we are getting the value for these output fields? Output fields are for city. How are you getting value of city? And city, I'm getting a sandwich. How are you getting this value? I'm getting value from the input. How are you getting input? Paid. Order by city. Order by city. I understand everything from the buyer and that's all the blow. But the address one city, county emailman. Those are just a label. Yes, they are labels. Output field. This is the fields we want in the output, right? We're interested on this field. Therefore, how we are fetching value for these fields? They are from the input. Now the transform message payload. Actually, this playground is introduced by Mule nearly 1 year ago. Before 1 year, there is no playground. Everything we do in the transform system. 1 year. People are struggling with the transform message. They provided this playground that we can easily exclude. We can see the things right. Before that, how we do is, there is something like here defined metadata assumption. We create some sample input source. You have a sample and you import a sample, right? For example, like a file, store this file. You don't have a dot. I think you have a comma. For example, I store the input. Now transform message component define metadata. Right click on that set metadata. My input is I have an example in my example, defining the file in my browser file, for example. I define the SRC resources. I think you have a comma. You don't have a dot in the file name. Now go to metadata, right click set metadata. The input is not seen. Input is not seen. I just provide an example. Go to the example SRC mode sources, then all the examples. Once you set all the examples, you can see the hierarchy. Now expand this transform message component. You can able to see the order got loaded over here. That's the structure object. You can see the preview section. You can see the preview of how the transformation happened and what is the result of the transformation. It's similar like playground, but it takes time to exclude that. Playground is super fast, but it takes time. Even we change the thing and we can see that how the most physics will be, how the result is returning all the stuff. See, we got output right. Sometimes right. They will provide. Very rarely we have input and output. For example, we have input document and output document also. Sample output also. In that case, what I can do is I take the output also, output also. You create an output. I'm getting output document, output file. Output JSON. I'm copying this output. You have input document and output document. In the transform message, for example, I'm creating the transform message. I'm going to create a mapping between this input and output. I'm creating the input document here. Select metadata. Sort. I'm going to output. I keep on this. Oh, that's what the output is for. I'm creating the at. Output type I'm creating. My output type is JSON. Depending on. It's depending on the source. Source. It's not to get rid of. Fortunately, my output is not loading completely. You can see the load. It's the fields of output also. Then you can practically map field to field. I can find 1 second example. What is some reason my food is not? Is it is quite easy. We need not get an document also. I think on this. It is some issues. I think on this. That is about. I'll tell you how to set this one. Adam, for some reason my ID is not cooperating. I see that. This time, it's just component. What we can do is discuss the capability. You can map it. The goal is to map right. What is the map from? We can map. Drag and we can map the fields that we can get the data. Oh, it will create a script for you. But the condition is you need to have input and output samples ready in your hand. If we have the samples ready, we can configure it and we can map the fields and it generates the data. That's the story. What you can do is, if your input is JSON, for example, let me see if the input is just an example. I am giving this link in your chat. Go through this. Data view examples. Come on. Go through these examples and excuse these examples in your playground first, and then you can put in your any transform message component. Might I think that you can see this link. Different kinds of examples. Input for each example. They can provide input, output, and all these three things. I recommend copy the script to the playground script section. Input, input, and output, output. See how the things are working. It's a little complex in the playground tutorial. Things are very, very simple. These are little complex things. But it's very interesting. If you have any questions, we'll discuss on them. Don't worry. Sounds good. Can you discuss about what stands with component and the competition? Alright. The transformation component can continue the input. If you have a good example, we have data. We did not get the next file. We can get its sample data. We can put some JSON sample data over here. Some sample data came in Word. If you have any JSON document over here, now in the data view code, can do something like I got it. This is JSON. One thing you need to keep in mind that if you are transforming to XML, you need to take care of the root load. Always without the root load, the XML is not valid. Right? The root. And give the root. If you give, it won't accept. Unaccepting. You're getting that. But always. You won. You're only one thing. If you want to define inside, you need to do the root. I can't define multiple things like this. Person name. I want to do something. This won't ask. But the two fields of one would be the one thing. He has to be. He has to be XML format. In example, if you have always, you need to take a root node. See here the only one. You are mapping only one value, that person is. But if you are mapping multiple values, for example here, it is like this person Adam. And CP equal to. Assume this is your input. And this input I want to transform to XML. This thing I want to put inside a function. I'm sorry. Personally, person X L as root person instead of person. Person has a name. Person has a city. Designation. I want to put these three fields inside this person. To define that, what we can do is open a curly brace. Now this curly brace, if you open this thing, this body, it creates a person tag. Person you know, open and close it. Inside this person, the three fields are there, right? Now you can use the name field. The name. It gives the first field. 1 sec. Come on. 1 second. And payload city. I want to know. I think you want to use a rule here in the output, not as a designation. This I'm creating using transformation component. Right. You see that component is very. There are similar multiple things are. We can discuss it as component. It's very important component. We'll discuss that thing and move on to the next critical accepts of this component. We will practice this. All the things far discussed up to functions. Right. That's right. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.